Dear Diary, we're still here at Linfield, even though they won't fund a course so I can get a Continental A licence, but European qualifying has been great fun. Off the back of the win over Breidablik, we also got the job done as expected over Liga of Latvia in the second Q round, meaning we had secured our spot in the UEFA competition proper. Things looked to be tougher on paper in the third Q round against Slovan Bratislava, but we picked up a win in the first leg away from home. I swear it was 1-0 with young Trainer getting the goal, but that must have been a dream, because we won 2-1 instead, and then we backed it up with a 1-0 win in the second leg to go through to a Champions League playoff against Olympiakos. Obviously we are the outsiders for this, but if we win, we make the Champions League proper, and if we lose, we're in the Europa League. It's a pretty nice situation to be in. Until next time. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 33 of FMOE here with Linfield on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well and coming up today. It's a Champions League playoff. I am as surprised as you guys are, and we take on Olympiakos in that one. If we win it, we go through to the Champions League proper. If we lose, we drop down to the Europa League. So either way, in quite a nice situation here at Linfield going into this upcoming season. So if you're looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. So a quick recap of what has happened off the back of yesterday's episode. If you missed that one, it was the first qualifying round of the Champions League where we took on Breidablik. Also, there was a job interview in amongst that episode. I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. As mentioned during that intro, the first round off the back of what we did in yesterday's episode, the second Q round against Riga, that went pretty straightforward, picking up a 2-1 win at home, 3-1 away to make our way through to the third qualifying round, as we kind of expected, with those guys being a lower reputation team than what we had bet previously out of Iceland. And then things got a little bit interesting against Slovan Bratislava, and not because of what actually happened in game. It's because the first time I played the first league away from home against these guys, we picked up a 1-0 win. The goal was scored by a young 17-year-old right winger in Stephen Trainer, but then my save file got corrupt because my computer crashed while the game was open. So what I had to do was re-simulate that game until we got a similar result, and it took about 18 goes for us to actually beat them on instant result, and the closest I could get at the first time of asking was a 2-1 win. So I thought it was good enough. It's not exact, but it's close enough, so I took that, and off the back of that we did pick up a 1-0 win in the second leg. That was a slightly surprising win because those guys are a 3-star reputation club out of Slovakia. Thought that might be a team who would have been beating us, but thankfully off the back of that win away from home, which we did have to do a few times just to make sure it did go through off the back of the corrupt save file. Thankfully hit a save file from right before that game did get played, but we did pick up a surprising win there, and what that has meant is we are taking on Olympiakos in the playoff for the Champions League. As I mentioned, a loss here, which is probably expected, and we drop down to the Europa League, so we are in a pretty good position. Also, we kicked off the league season with a 2-1 win away against Portadown, probably a game we were lucky to get all 3 points out of. They had a penalty in the 89th minute. Our backup goalkeeper this season, in Brian Okonwo, came up with a big save. So thankfully, despite the fact it was a little bit of a sketchy performance, especially because we put out close to a full rotation for that game, we did still pick up all 3 points in our first league game of the season. But today the focus is on this upcoming Champions League playoff against Olympiakos. One quick little transfer update before we do get into that one. We've made one more signing for the first team. We do have our backup goalkeeper from last season in David Walsh's contract expiring in December. He wants to explore his options, and it does mean we are going to lose a homegrown player at the club. So because of that, we went after another homegrown club player, and the best option that we did find was another goalkeeper out of the Carrick Rangers. You might be familiar with this guy, after he was in goal in the Irish Cup final a couple of days ago. Ross Glendining out of the Carrick Rangers. We did have to pay just over $27,000 for him, which, truth be told, not an ideal situation for a 32-year-old with 2-star current ability and potential, but he was the best option that we could find for a price that we could get someone for, and is pretty much a straight replacement as well for Walsh in that backup role, and he won't play that much anyway, so we got him on board just to make sure we could fulfill all the squad registration requirements for Europe this upcoming season and make sure that we would be okay once David Walsh did leave at the end of December, albeit whether we are still in Europe at that stage is a completely different story, but that is the reason for that slightly interesting transfer. But truth be told, he probably won't play too much for us. We'll try and give one of our younger goalkeepers some game time if we do need to rest Johns as our first choice goalkeeper. But today we are focusing, as I've mentioned a few times now, on this Champions League playoff against Olympiakos. These guys are a 3.5-star reputation club. Definitely should be getting the better of us with all those good training facilities, youth facilities, and just their stature in general. Based on their last known lineup, they are playing a 4-3-3, not too sure of the exact tactical style because they don't actually have a manager in this save with their league not being loaded. In terms of us going into this one though, we do have a few little injuries that we are having to juggle during this qualifying process. The biggest one, Stephen Fallon, he picked up an injury a little while ago. He is going to be out for a further 6 days, so he might be back for the second leg of this one. But what that does mean is we have had to start over the last few ties Stephen Trainer, as I mentioned, the bloke who in the first time we tried to play Slovan Bratislava did get the all-important goal, which did give us the win, but he is a highly promising 17-year-old, so it's going to be good to see what he can do starting in a European playoff. And as well as that, for this upcoming game, we are missing some useful squad options in both Bobby Jack McAleese and Connor Pepper as well, but that just affects our bench balance. We should still have enough options down there with a 12-man bench to make sure that we can bring on suitable players if we need to. So just that one change in terms of our actual starting 11, but hopefully we can continue our good form in this early part of the European season and maybe sneak our way into the Champions League proper for this upcoming season. One other thing to note, in this first leg, a few players are on yellow cards, Kemi Palmer and both of our centre-backs, as well as Sean Quinn down on the bench. So if any of those guys do pick up another yellow card, they will be missing for the second leg, which I imagine is going to be quite important against a team like Olympiakos. But hopefully we can make our way through to the Champions League proper at the first time of asking. We'll find out in the first leg as we travel to Greece to take on Olympiakos. In 6 minutes in, we have our first highlight in this one. It is a corner to Olympiakos. They try and put that one in towards the far post. They do keep possession there. It's actually a good chance from a header, but thankfully they put that one wide early on. They are on top. But the scoreline does remain 0-0 here in this first leg from Greece. And just past the half-hour mark, we are going to be forced here into an early substitution. Kemi Palmer has had a knock for a little while now, just an orange injury, but he is not recovering. So we've got a few options on the bench to bring on for him, either McLean or Sean Quinn. I think we'll bring on the man formerly of Banbridge Town with that higher potential, albeit he is on a yellow card, so that could keep him out of the second leg if he picks up one of those, but we are doing okay at the moment, still locked up at 0-0. And only a few minutes shy of half-time, we have our next highlight in this one, Olympiakos with a throw-in, albeit deep inside their own half, but they spray that one out to Ayew out right, and he does a bit of a number there on our defenders out left. Good slide tackle there from Logue, but unfortunately, no one is there to support him and get that ball back for us. And now they get in behind our defence. It's a pretty average effort that from Johnson goal. And Plavsic puts that one in the back of the net. Definitely a goal that we could have avoided conceding. First from the slide tackle from Logue. Someone should have helped him out there. And then the goalkeeping, not the greatest here. I think it is fair to say, you could argue, an unlucky deflection, but right before half-time, that is not a great time to concede, and we are going to go into the sheds, it looks like, being 1 goal down, albeit if we can keep it this way going into the second leg, we might still be in with a chance of overturning things, but at the moment, we are well and truly the team who are under the pump in this one. We won't rush into any substitutions just yet, because most of our players, to be fair, not on great ratings, and hopefully, we might be able to sneak a goal back or keep it the way it is. In the second half, we get it back underway, 1-0 down. And only 1 minute into the second half, we start things off here with another throw-in to Olympiakos. They just do enough here to keep possession off the back of Trainer, trying to clear that. They somehow keep this ball on the edge of the box as well. Good chance there for Mully, I think that was, but just puts that over the post and probably a little bit wide as well. And still 1-0 here early in the second half, albeit now on the other side, they have yet another throw-in. And Ayew, the man who caused us some issues in that first goal that they scored, shot off there, but thankfully that one does come off the post. Johns might have got a touch on that to keep that one out, but Olympiakos here are still on the attack, and that is a wonderful strike that from Pep Biel. I thought we might have dealt with that danger from the initial shot there from Ayew, but now we are in a little bit of trouble in this one. 2-0 down early in the second half, as I said before. Thought we dealt with what might be the highlight, but they got another chance there. It's a very good finish. 2-0 down early in the second half, and while we are here, I think it's probably time for us to make a few substitutions in defence because they are struggling a little bit. Noel Quinn can come off for Charlie Sayers, and also will bring on a Gumbo for Logue, and hopefully that helps us be a little bit more solid at the back. And just over 10 minutes off the back of those previous substitutions and that second goal to Olympiakos, we are going to make a few more. Unfortunately, as you can see, Sean Quinn is going to be missing from that second leg now with that yellow card, but we will bring on Katongo for O'Connor. He's also struggled out there today. And also Robbie McDade. I don't think he's had that many chances, but is struggling as well. So Chris McKee can come on for him. And hopefully we might be able to pull a goal back here in this last half hour. And we are inside the last few minutes of this one. Unfortunately, not much has happened off the back of that second goal to Olympiakos. We haven't created many chances, and we haven't hit the target that much in this one. Neither of our strikers really performing that well, and unfortunately we do suffer a 2-0 defeat here in Greece. We might be able to peg that back a little bit back in Northern Ireland, but it does look like a tough score to overcome, but we'll see what we can do in that second leg. But in the end, Olympiakos, probably the team who should be winning this tie, so we're not too disappointed with that one, but a little bit disappointing. We didn't create a few more chances and make the most of those when we did get them. So we are going to go into that second leg back at Windsor Park with a 2-0 deficit, and we'll come back shortly with the action from that one, unless something pops up in between now and then. And we are popping back shortly just prior to that second leg against Olympiakos for a couple of reasons. First off, we were shocking in the game in between now and then, our second one of the league season. As you can probably see in the top right corner, a shocking result in what is a kind of local derby here at Linfield. We suffered a 3-0 defeat to Cliftonville at home, and we didn't really rotate our team that much either. So that was a very, very disappointing result. We did get a red card at the hour mark to Chris Shields, but by that stage, the damage had already been done. We'll show you guys the stats from this one, as well as a ridiculous goal that I've scored that third one there for Cliftonville. But as you can see, they weren't that much better than us, especially in terms of XG, but somehow they got 3 goals and we got none, obviously not helped by that red card to Shields at the hour mark. But as I said, that third goal that Cliftonville did score was quite a good one, and that was really the dagger blow that meant we couldn't come back in the second half. And here's the goal. It came from a free kick, which Ives took. We headed that one away, and I thought we'd do it right there. Trainer was closing him down, but that is a wonderful strike from a long way out. And as I said, that was probably the dagger blow. I think 2-0. We might have been able to overcome against the team domestically here in Northern Ireland, but 3-0, that was always going to be a little bit tough. Interesting to see that at the moment too, our forwards are not doing a great job either, and that is not helping. Quite similar to that previous game against Olympiakos, where we did not have many shots on target. So a very disappointing defeat there. Hopefully that does not become a trend off the back of the second leg against Olympiakos, and we can re-find our form domestically off the back of this. But we're also coming back with a little bit of an injury update going in to the second leg. We do have Stephen Fallon back. He has recovered from that injury that he suffered early on in the season, so he comes back into the team in place of young Stephen Trainer. He will drop to the bench. And also Cammy Palmer's injury, quite a serious one in terms of keeping him out for a little bit longer than we would have liked in this European qualifying campaign. And of course, Sean Quinn picked up a yellow card, so he is suspended as well. So it does mean we're a little bit light in terms of midfield cover on the bench for the second leg, but Bobby Jack McAleese will start alongside Chris Shields in the midfield, and also Niall Quinn picked up an injury as well, so Charlie Sayers will start at left back. So we are certainly a little bit weaker in two positions than we were for that first leg. Hopefully we find a way somehow to turn this one around, and we'll come back with the action from Windsor Park for the second leg of this Champions League playoff with a 2-0 deficit. And 20 minutes into this one, we get our first interesting highlight. There was an early one to Olympiakos from the kickoff. They put the ball in the back of the net, but the guy was well offside. Wasn't worth showing you guys, I thought, but Papa Cisse pops up there at the far post. We also got exploited there a little bit in that previous league game against Cliftonville, so that could be something that we need to sort out, but that is a bit of a dagger blow early now. Johns maybe again should be doing better there at his near post, but we are now down by 3-0 on aggregate. And about 10 minutes off the back of that opening goal in this one to Olympiakos, we need to strike back soon, and thankfully it does look like we are going to keep hold of possession for a little bit in this highlight, albeit we are having to play out from the back so far. We've had our chances, just haven't hit the target enough so far in this tie, so hopefully our strikers get their act into gear soon. They were so good for us last season. There's McDade, thought that one might have found the top right corner, unfortunately just goes over the bar, and we are still down 3-0 on aggregate here, as Olympiakos now are on the attack down the other end. Avila makes his way inside the box, but in the end, that's a pretty safe shot for Johns to collect, and we are still down 1-0 on the day, 3-0 overall. And right before halftime, we do have a throw-in here inside the final third of Olympiakos. This is probably a time where we do need to strike, and that's a great chance for McDade, but somehow their goalkeeper pulls off a save from point-blank range. It does mean we are going into the sheds still down by 1-0 on the day, 3-0 overall, but a couple of big chances late in that half for us, especially that most recent one to McDade. As you can also see, a few players have picked up yellow cards. We are going to have to make some changes here at halftime. We are going to bring on a Gumbo for Logue. He's going to be suspended for our first game of the league phase of the Europa League, I dare say now. Anyway, also Kane can come on for Cooper. He is struggling, as is McDade. McKee will come on for him, and hopefully we can just get a bit of respectability in the second half, because at the moment Olympiakos are kind of thrashing us, even though we're not playing that badly in the second leg. We are 3-0 down with 45 minutes left in this Champions League playoff. And only a few minutes into the second half, we do have an early free kick here, which Fallon will put far post. Ross McCausland gets his head on the end of it. He's been pretty good for us so far in this Champions League qualifying campaign. Our main source of goals, but unfortunately that time he does not hit the target. And now down the other end, Olympiakos are on the attack in Biom. He finds Lemmer, some good short passing, and Medi Kamara will beat Johns there at his near post yet again. And Olympiakos, when they are in attack, are very, very lethal, and we just haven't been like that so far in this tie or in that league game that we did play in between these two legs. And Medi Kamara there, Johns just sinks to the ground, even though if he jumped up, he might have been able to save that, and we are now 4-0 down overall. I think we are going into the Europa League. And just shy of the hour mark, we do have a throw-in here inside the final third, albeit Shields there puts way too much on that one. And they did nearly have a chance there, Olympiakos, to get something going on the counter-attack. Thankfully, someone did get that ball back for us. Now, Charlie Sayers, who has recently picked up a yellow card, so recent, haven't been able to get him to ease off tackles lately. And now Chris Shields there with a poor pass to give the ball away, and Lammers now makes his way inside the box. But thankfully, O'Connor there with some good defensive work, and we do get a chance here to clear our lines. But unfortunately, Olympiakos somehow do get that ball back, and Sayers brings down Beal, and that is going to be his second yellow card in only the space of a few minutes. And it's just not our tie this one. We're not playing that badly overall in terms of the stats, but now we are down to 10 men. There's no way we can turn this one around. I think the player we're going to take off here is probably Stephen Fallon, just because he is on a yellow card. Keelan Reid will come on for him, and we will switch out Ross McCausland to the right wing for the latter stages of this one. But it's pretty much mission impossible for us now, down to 10 men and 4-0 down overall. And while we are here, we might also make our last substitution as well, as Peldy O'Connor is only on a 6-point force. We'll bring on the former Man City man there in Katongo for him, and those will be all of our subs used, but we are really up against it now, 4-0 down with a half hour left. And with 15 minutes left in this one, it is a free kick here to Olympiakos. There is absolutely no way here we are going to be able to turn this around, especially with 10 men. We are going to be in the Europa League, which isn't too bad. And that will just put the cherry on top. Basilis rockets that one into the top right corner. They have scored 2 really good goals against us in either of these ties, Olympiakos. And that will put the cherry on top there for those guys. They now go 5-0 up overall. And in the end, this has been very, very comfortable here for the Greek outfit. Looks like our confidence has taken a major dive off the back of that loss in the first leg, 5-0 with 10 minutes left. And we are entering the last few minutes of the second leg of this Champions League playoff. As you can see, overall stats-wise, we haven't played that badly, and our XG is actually significantly higher than Olympiakos, but much like the first leg, we did not make the most of our chances. Olympiakos certainly did, and we get bundled out of the Champions League in the playoff. As I said before the game, we weren't expecting to win the tie, but it would have been nice if we did just perform a little bit better, with a bit more credibility in that scoreline. But Olympiakos far better than us, and as you can see, those last 3 results, if you include that Cliftonville shocker, not very good. No goals scored and 8 conceded. We need to turn this around as soon as possible. Hopefully we do get the chance to do that domestically before we do enter the league phase of the Europa League, but still not too bad. We are going to be playing Europa League football this season here at Linfield. That's one competition higher than Lan did get in the last European season, but that was a little bit embarrassing. We dropped down into the Europa League off the back of a 5-0 playoff defeat against Olympiakos. So that Champions League playoff there did not go well. Pretty much everything that could have gone wrong did. We suffered a few injuries, got a red card in the second leg, and we're just not very good in front of goal. We were going to come back for the draw for the Europa League, but of course we have now gone forward enough that we get into the league phase for these European competitions. We've actually pumped up the bank balance here at Linfield quite a bit off the back of that European campaign. I think we got around 8 million for playing in that Champions League playoff, as well as this money that we do get for entering the Europa League. But there is no fancy draw like you do get the first few seasons for the group stage of the Europa League. You just get a list of the 8 fixtures that we are going to play, and here they are. To be fair, I don't mind the look of it. Alisund, Ferencvárosi, Osijek, Djurgårdens, and Antwerp maybe could be winnable ties. There's certainly no real giants that we're playing down here in the Europa League. Arguably, Benfica you could class as a giant in terms of the Europa League. But if we have a look at the overall teams in this competition, I think we've got off a little bit lightly in terms there of the teams that we could be playing. So hopefully we can sneak ourselves a few decent results in the league phase of the Europa League, and might even sneak into one of those knockout games to try and make our way into the actual knockout rounds of the Europa League, albeit we're probably going to be an outsider in each of those games that we do play. But I definitely think if we get back to our best form that we did have going in to today's episode, we can certainly upset the apple cart against a few of those teams, especially those ones of 2.5 star, 3-star reputation, and that might be enough for us to try and make the postseason of the Europa League. Obviously, we've no chance of winning this, but it will be interesting to see how we do get on with what looks like quite a kind league phase draw. But that will do it for today's episode. Unfortunately, getting absolutely spanked there in that Champions League playoff, as well as by Cliftonville in the league. If you did enjoy that, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well, especially ahead of the holiday period. Hope you guys have a good Christmas. This is the last video that will come out before Christmas, with it being the day before New Zealand time this one gets released. I think over the holidays, I'm going to try and keep the videos fairly consistent, but there might be a few days where we do miss out on videos. So be aware that if we don't drop them as regularly as they usually do come out, it's obviously because I'm just doing a little bit of family stuff over the holiday period, but I'll try and keep them at the very least around about 3 or 4 a week for this FMOE series and keep it chugging along. We'll keep you guys updated if there is not going to be a video on the community tab or down in the comments of the most recent video and also over on social media. But as I said, hope you guys all have a good Christmas and hopefully we do well here at Linfield in the Europa League. When we do come back for the next episode, I think what we might do is come back for our first game in that Europa League, because it's probably one of the games you'd hope that we get something out of, as we do take on Sund, and they are from Norway, so that could be an interesting clash as we take those guys on. And also we might bundle that in with the Bell Classico as we do take on Glentoran away from home. So I think that's what will come back for the next time that you do see me. But as I said, have a good Christmas, guys. I'll see you next week for that double header. And until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.